Aloha, happy Aloha Friday, everyone. We are convening the Committee on Energy, Economic Development, and Tourism for our 3 o'clock agenda for governor's nominees to a variety of boards. We have 5 on our agenda today, but before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on the YouTube. You will find links to viewing options on all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website, so you can watch our hearings free every day, all day. In the unlikely event that we hit some technical turbulence and this hearing takes a nosedive, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at 3 o'clock on Monday, April 12th. Monday, April 12th. A public notice will be posted to the legislature's website, and for those participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your lucky turn. So we have our first nominee is GM 527. This is for Richard Walsgrove. He is nominated to be on the board of the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority Board. And first on our testifiers list is Gwen Yamamoto Lau.
Happy Friday, Chair, Vice Chair, and the members of the committee. Gwen Yamamoto Lau, Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority. We strongly stand on a written support for Richard Walsgrove. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. And I don't think we have any other online testifiers, but just to make Mr. Walsgrove feel good, here is your fan list. Scott Glenn from the State Energy Office, Rocky Mold from the Solar Energy Association, Shelly Kimura from HECO, Sandy Wong, an individual, Denise Antolini, Lorraine Akiba, Gerald Sumida, Melissa Miyashiro from Blue Planet, and Mike McCartney from DBIT. Everybody has provided testimony in support. Oh no, I was going to introduce them, have them talk about themselves. Okay. So, Mr. Walsgrove, first of all, congratulations on being nominated to this particular board, and we really appreciate you doing this for a huge paycheck that we're not going to give you. And if we could just have you introduce yourself to the committee members and tell us a little bit about how you plan to make the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority even more vibrant and impactful for renewable energy aspirations.
Thank you very much, Chair. And of course, thanks to everybody on the committee for taking time this afternoon. I think I have to start by answering that question and saying, certainly none of the 5 members of the HGIA board would be responsible for its accomplishments and where it's headed in the future. Plainly, that responsibility and the accolades that go along with it would lie with Director Yamamoto Lau and her staff and the people who actually do the hard work. But I have to say that I do think there's a big role for HGIA to play, and I'm delighted to be nominated to be part of that role. I'm thinking particularly about the rebuilding process that we're in now as a community and as a state and a country and a world. Rebuilding from the economic and health impacts of this pandemic, and my hope, my deeply held hope for HGIA and many other facets of the energy transition is that clean energy will be part of that rebuilding process, that we'll be able to double down on the benefits that come alongside of it. I think that HGIA's role is particularly important because it was formed with the idea of equity at its core. And I think we're all learning about the ways that equity should take a more prominent role, even in sort of techno-wonky fields like clean energy financing. And so my goal is to do what I can to help that mission, to support that mission. I've already volunteered with Gwen to give input where I can on things that we can do. And I'm just sort of, I'm here to help. I think that's the core of my answer to your question, Chair.
I mean, a couple of days ago, I had the privilege of chatting with you, and could you share with the committee members your background? Because I think your background makes you uniquely well-positioned to take part in this particular board.
Certainly. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. And I apologize if I should have mentioned that in my last response. Well, I usually answer this question in chronological order, and Chair knows I started at my birth with him, but I won't bore the entire committee with that. Maybe we'll go in reverse chronological order. And I'll say that I currently teach energy law and policy here at the law school at UH. And so in that role, I am required, and I also love to keep abreast of what's happening in terms of not just energy laws and policies, but also the technology side of things. These two pieces of the transition go hand in hand. I think I'm able to do that in part because I have a science background way before I was a lawyer. I was trained as a scientist. And so I really enjoy learning about the technology as much as I enjoy learning about the policy side of things. Before I was a law professor, I was an advocate with Blue Planet Foundation. I worked on a number of the policy issues that the state is sort of still working through today, including testifying in support for the formation of HGIA back in 2013. I suppose I should be open about that I was a big fan even before its birth. Before working for Blue Planet Foundation, I worked here in Honolulu as an attorney in private practice. I worked down on Bishop Street for a law firm doing complex commercial litigation and also some business transactions. Some of my clients included lenders, so I think that part of that experience gives me some insight into the role of HGIA. At least I think enough so I can keep up and learn as I need to do what's right for the authority and ultimately because of its mission for the people of Hawaii at large.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Walsgrove. Members, any questions for Richard? No? No? Chris? Oh, no. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Walsgrove. We're going to move on to our next nominee. That is Tina Rasmussen. She is GM 666, and she is up for confirmation to the Community-Based Economic Development Advisory Council. And we have Mark Ritchie from DBED.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. Mark Ritchie for Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. We'll stand on our written testimony in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Mark. That is all the testimony we have for GM 666. So, Tina, we'd like to call you up, and if you could just give us a little bit about your background and how you anticipate being a contributor to the Community-Based Economic Development Advisory Council.
Unmute. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Senator Wakai and members of the committee. And it was nice meeting with a couple of you prior to this meeting. I am a resident of Maui. I lived here for over 40 years. I have spent the last 10 years working in the economic development field. I served as the Mayor Arakawa's Economic Development Director for the County of Maui for 8 years. After that, I formed a firm with Jeannie Skog. We have a business partnership called Skog Rasmussen LLC. We work in community and economic development. And then prior to all of that, my husband and I had an agribusiness on the island for 35 years. So I have had private sector and government experience, and I'm very much looking forward to serving on this council and seeing how I can assist with helping them shine a light on seabed programs so they can be more widely used, and help them also seek some other external funding sources so that those funds could be greater and we could give out more loans. And I'm looking forward to serving. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping forward, Tina. Members, any questions for Ms. Rasmussen?
I should. Chair?
Yep.
I had the
Sure, Mr.
opportunity to interview Ms. Rasmussen, and I just found her wealth of knowledge, the depth of experience that she has as a small business person would lend itself to this particular role, especially to make the small businesses on Maui aware of what the council is doing, because I think many of them might be leaving money on the table. So hopefully this one would, with you being on that board, you could hopefully advocate for them and get the word out. So thank you for stepping up.
Yeah, thank you.
Members, any further questions? No? Good. Okay, thank you, Ms. Rasmussen. We're going to move on to our next nominee, that is GM 667. This is David DeLuz. He is up for confirmation to the Board of Directors of the Pacific International Space Center for Exploration Systems, better known to all of us as Pisces. For his testifiers or support list, it's Rodrigo Romo has submitted testimony in support, and that's all the testimony we have. I'm going to ask Mr. DeLuz to introduce himself and tell us how you're going to make Pisces really out of this world.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is David DeLuz Jr. I'm a fourth-generation Big Islander. My interest in regards to Pisces is the educational opportunity it can provide, along with astronomy and other high-tech industries, to essentially create an opportunity which I believe COVID has more solidified the capacity of hopefully minimizing the brain drain now that virtuality, especially amongst very talented people, can be from areas like Hawaii. So my background is business, but my strong community involvement I think brings a perspective of understanding how education and economic capacity can be built in. I was one of the first, along with the Hawai'i Island Chamber, when when Professor Bob Fox was originally tasked with developing Pisces with the University of Hawaii at Hilo. Seen it progress. I have to say, though, I think the last 5 years has seen the most activity that Pisces has done. I'm extremely impressed with how the organization has involved women in their annual program, as far as they have a mentorship that they do with our local young people. That being said, my goal is how to create the connectivity between the institutional, the academic, and the business side of it. And so how can we create capacity, again, as I mentioned earlier. So my formal education, though, is in accounting and finance. And of course, we do have a multitude of family businesses that we've had on the Big Island for close to 70 years now. I'm excited with the capacity of having to serve. I did have the opportunity to speak to Senator Wakai. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to contact the other senators on this committee. But I can assure you that should you find my nomination worthy of being approved, that I will do my darndest to create the capacity that I believe Pisces has. And by the way, I think one of the challenges that we sometimes forget is, to me, the educational opportunity that Pisces bring is some of its greatest assets. I see the ancillary benefit is the development of programs that turn into economic commercial reality. But that being said, if it wasn't for the federal government having insight to land-grant universities, which the University of Hawaii is, a lot of industries, example, Bell Labs came out of, a land-grant university. A lot of the risk that's involved in some of these preliminary projects that programs like Pisces do would not come to fruition to get to the point of commercial development. So ultimately, what is the goal? Yes, we need to work on being able to get commercial development out of the program. And so with that, I'm hoping that my consideration to this board will be considered, and you will be looking forward favorably to that. Thank you, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuz. Members, any questions of Mr. DeLuz? No? Okay, thank you, Mr. DeLuz. We're going to blast off to our next nominee. That is GM 759. This is Michael Imanaka. He is up for nomination to the Stadium Authority Board. And here's his fan list: Scott Chan from DAGS, Mike Iosua from Imanaka Asato, Ryan Kamo from Design Partners Incorporated, Wayne Henry, Eric Fujimoto, Michael Sains, and Ross Yamasaki. Everyone is in support. There's no one online to testify in support of Mr. Imanaka, but I would like to bring him on now. And Michael, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and how you're going to make the stadium the most dynamic, vibrant, and go-to place in Hawaii.
Aloha, Chair Wakai, Vice Chair Misalucha, and members of the committee. Thank you for having me here. For my background, I'm currently a planning and development manager at Kamehameha Schools, currently focused on the Kaia'ulu Okakaka Master Plan, which is a 29-acre master plan next to Ward Village, projected to have about 4,000 units, 348,000 square feet of commercial space, about 150,000 square feet of open space. Before that, I was a director of development at Avalon Development, and prior to that, I was a field engineer at Nordic PCL. As far as what I hope to bring to the board, I suppose there's two things. One would be my background in commercial real estate development, specifically project financing, entitlements, construction requirements, legal review, strategic planning, things of that nature. And also I would say, the intellectual capital that is fortunately readily available to me. So, of course, we have projects in different areas on Oahu, from Kapolei Makai to Waipahu to Waiava. And my big hope is to hopefully take these concepts and lessons learned from these master plans and bring them to the Stadium Authority in ways that they currently aren't available.
Okay, thank you. Michael, any questions from members? No? Okay. Thank you, Michael. We're going to move on to our last nominee on today's agenda, that is GM 760. This is Brennan Morioka, also up as a nominee for the Stadium Authority. And here's his fan list. Scott Chan from the Stadium Authority, Michael Formby from the City and County of Honolulu, Mike Iosua, Imanaka Nasato, Dexter Kubota, Bowers Kubota, Kathleen Chu from KCS Consulting, Michael Kane from Hawaii Community Foundation, Jeffrey Kalani from Yogi Kwong Engineers, Stanford Carr from Stanford Carr Development, Ryan Sakuda from the General Contractors Association, Eric Fujimoto, Carlton Ching, Lance Wilhelm, Stephen Tevez, Ross Yamasaki, Garrett Matsunami, Alan Okimoto, Darcy Endo Omoto, and David Matlin, all individuals in support of Brennan Morioka. No one has signed up to testify online, so I'm going to call up Brennan Morioka to introduce himself and tell us how you're going to create the most dynamic area there in Halawa.
Thanks, Chair Okai, members. Thank you for the opportunity in considering the nomination. I have served on the Stadium Authority for the last 4 years, and it's been an extremely exciting time, very educational for me as well, although my background has been in both public and private sector for the majority of my career, so I do have the benefit of being able to understand both sides of our industry, and there's been a lot of time and effort on a lot of people's parts to get us to this point by getting removal or lifting of the federal and city deed restrictions on that property. And it is an exciting opportunity to really activate this location to be much more than just the stadium than it currently is. There is so much more opportunity and economic vibrancy that can happen on that location, and I'm just excited to be a part of it. So hopefully, I do ask for your favorable consideration to continue the work that we've been doing over the last 4 years to get us to where we are today. So thank you.
Thank you, Brennan. Members, any questions for Brennan? No? Okay, thanks, Brennan. See you at the next Jewish football game, hopefully soon. Okay, I don't think we have to go into recess. I think we're all okay with all 5 of these nominees. Is that okay? So if you don't mind, members, we're going to just take one sweeping vote for all of the nominees. So for GM 527, this is Richard Walsgrove to the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority GM 666, Tina Rasmussen for the Community-Based Economic Development Advisory Council. GM 667, this is David DeLuz to be confirmed to the Board of Directors of the Pacific International Space Center for Exploration Systems. GM 759, Michael E. Manaka for confirmation to the Stadium Authority Board. And GM 760, Brennan Morioka, also to the Stadium Authority Board. It's a recommendation for all of these 5 nominees to advise and consent. Members, any discussion? If not, Senator Misalucha, I vote yes on all 5 nominees.
Okay, so for Committee on Energy, Economic Development, and Tourism, for GM 527, GM 666, GM 667, GM 759, GM 760. Chair recommends advice and consent. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Misalucha votes aye. Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Riviere.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. You have 4 votes. The recommendation's adopted, Chair. All,
Thank you. And to
5
the
of them.
5 nominees, if you're still online, thank you so much for stepping forward and helping us in your unique abilities and ways to help us improve our business climate, improve our renewable energy aspirations, and to help make the stadium area and the district as the most vibrant place it possibly can be. So appreciate all of you providing us your expertise and guidance to move forward in all of these areas. So with that, we are adjourned.